Take her word on that. I haven't seen the credentials myself. Today, however, Dominique will not be speaking about technology, but instead will help you figure out what to say when someone asks you for what you do for a living, and not be boring about doing it. Please help me in welcoming Dominique and her presentation, turning 20 minutes into 30 seconds.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
There you go.
Thank you so much for joining me here today. I don't have to yell. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to give you something you can actually take from this room and use immediately. Immediately. I don't know how often that happens, but the next 20 minutes are going to be crucial for you to promote your business, whether you're a realtor or an affiliate, no matter what you do. Here's a problem. When someone asks you, what do you do for a living? Is it not boring to say I'm a realtor? Because there are so many in the valley. Let's face it, you're a dime a dozen, but I'm going to help you. Wait a minute. I'm going to help you stand out. I promise. Here's a truth. Nobody cares about you. Isn't that sad? Wait, it gets worse. Or your boring business. People only care about themselves. And I'm going to help you figure out a way for you to make them care about themselves and at the same time want to use you professionally. Here's another truth. You can't tell your life story in 30 seconds. $10. $10. Something. You can't tell your life story in 30 seconds. I'm talking about the 30 seconds at the grocery store when you're standing in line and somebody sees your Windermere shirt or name tag that you still have on and says, "Oh, you're a realtor?" You got 30 seconds. That's it. We, as a society, have been hardwired to pay attention for 30 seconds, thanks to television. If you can't hook them in 30 seconds, forget it. Nor should you try. There is no point in explaining how many years you've been in business, how big your company is. Again, no one really cares. The final truth is you have one goal, and one goal only. You want to hook them. You want to hook them. I don't know how else to say it. I'm gonna call out Mr. Frazier, Pest Control. Could you stand up for a second? You did an amazing job this morning with your little tagline, and then you had everyone else singing along with you. Now I'd like to call out my husband for everything he did wrong. Because I can. I actually told him to make a rookie mistake this morning, and he did that for me, so I could use him as an example. He stood up and said, "Moo." There, I did it. I told him he needs to moo for this group, so that you can all see him standing and start mooing before he even opens his mouth. What he's going to do from now on is say, "Everybody give me a moo." Go ahead. Moo. Thank you. See, honey, that's how it's supposed to go. You hook somebody. Now, is it Joe? Joe hooks you guys with participation, being able to do something and not just sit there and listen. And let's face it, when you get to move first thing in the morning, that's a little fun. That might put a smile on your face. If I can get you emotionally, I've got you. And that's what you're going to do. Important thing 1A. Say many things and people will remember none. Say one thing. And now I'd like to call out Barbara Nagy. You did an amazing job this morning. Stand up. Can you shout out that thing you said? We specialize.
We specialize in financing for seniors.
We specialize in financing for seniors. Thank you, Barbara. Good job, Barbara. Who here has heard this before? I specialize in buyers, sellers, renters, leasers, and property management. You can't specialize in all of that.
Right.
You can specialize in one thing. And even though you may have a person in your office who handles buyers and renters and property management, that's not you personally. You're the one talking to the person at the grocery store or the cocktail party in the hopes that, hey, maybe this person will know somebody or use you, whether you're a realtor or no matter what you do. So don't say that. To grab someone, you better have them emotionally. Now, this is something that I've worked really hard to try and explain. Actually, I'm going to do more about this in a minute because there's something else more important. What's the one thing everybody needs to know about you? That's rhetorical, don't answer. It's that you care about happy endings.
Good tagline. I like that tagline.
Well, you can't all use it. Okay? Not at the same party. Not at the same party. Okay? If you go to different parties, you can. The most important thing about you is not that you work for a big name company I've heard of. It's not that you have 30 years experience as a realtor or pest control or anything. It's not that you know what interest rates are doing. It's not that you drive a Mercedes or a hybrid Lexus. It's only one thing. It's that you care about happy endings. I told you you'd have something here you could take with you right away. Who was the guy in the maroon shirt who talked about the PSRAR thing the first time? Could you stand up for a second? You mentioned that everyone in this room cares, or they wouldn't bother getting their butts up so early every week and coming. Did you not say that? I believe you. What was your first name? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Maroon Shirt, you can sit down. Thank you. Mr. Maroon Shirt said it for me, and I was so glad to hear somebody say it before I did, before I tried to pretend that you guys all care. He said it first, and I believe it, or you wouldn't be here. The fact that you care is the solution. Stop talking about yourself and tell a success story instead.
In 30 seconds?
In 15 seconds. No, listen, I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how. It's not, I'll show you what it's not. You only have one goal, to explain quickly what you do using storytelling and not to bore the other person to death. A few slides ago, I talked about grabbing people emotionally. Now, I don't care if you make them laugh, make their heart break, get them misty-eyed. It doesn't matter if you get them mad, sad, glad, or afraid. You've got to get them emotionally, and those are the only 4 emotions I can really think of off the top of my head. Not that you should go around making people afraid, but fear is a large part of what I do. Are you afraid you'll lose your data? Let us help you back it up. Are you afraid of getting a virus? Let me clean it up for you. So fear can work. If interest rates really are going up, that's something you might use to get people off the fence who were like this. Commonly, you will hook someone's emotion with a story that ends happily. Tell me about the 88-year-old woman who lost her husband and the husband was taking care of her. She was all alone in that giant mansion at the reserve, with nothing but sad memories all around. You sold that big ugly place for her and you got a pretty penny for it. And you set her up at Atria Hacienda where all her friends already were. And now she gets rides everywhere, plays bingo, watches movies, and has fun in her golden years. That took about 15 or 20 seconds to tell. You must have a story like that. A quick one. Go forth, conquer. Here's an important point. I don't care if it was last month, last year, or last Tuesday. You need to learn succinct storytelling. Just say, I had a client. Doesn't matter what her name was, how, you know, unless age is pertinent to the story, like the one I just told you, shouldn't matter how old they were. Or I had a couple who just moved here, and they were renting, and I don't know, you know, you've got your own stories, you make them up. Focus on what's important. Did the lonely widow find happiness? Yes. That's all that matters. Tell your story quickly, hit the high notes. Remember, you're simply the fairy godmother in this story. You make all the magic happen. It's your client who's Cinderella, who started out miserable and lived happily ever after thanks to you. See, you're just the secret, quiet hero in this. So it really is all about you, just kind of circumventing the "it's all about me" speech. You're telling what you did that was amazing for your clients. What you did that made them happy, live happily ever after in their beautiful new home, or get rid of the pests, or get that wonderful mortgage, or whatever it may be. This is the only thing I want you to leave this room with today, is to realize that if you can come up with, practice, a couple of quick stories, and they can be super boiled down, they should be. So you can say, well, I'm a realtor. In fact, see, don't give them a chance. Don't say, can I tell you a story? Because people may go, they may start looking for the door. Just say, in fact, comma, and then launch in your story. I recently had a couple who moved here from Washington State looking for a condo. And then launch into your story quickly about how you found them the perfect place, that they had their eye on one thing, but you found them something even better in their price range. And you don't have to literally say they lived happily ever after, but that should be the bottom line. And then just stand there and smile. Seriously, your smile will light up your face, it'll take 10 years off your life, and you will look like a friendly, nice person they want to do business with. This is important. A lot of people don't realize how they look when they're talking. I should probably be smiling more right now. Practice on anyone who will listen, but not the dog, because the dog will listen to anything. It should be somebody who can give you honest feedback. It could be someone in your office. It could be an existing favorite client of yours who became a good friend. You can say, hey, listen, I want to practice my story on you. Time yourself. Stick to that 30 seconds if you possibly can. People will love you for being short. Brief. I don't mean in stature. Brief. If you need help, if you are a crummy storyteller, if you get nervous talking to new people, if for any reason you want to improve your presentation skills, you can join Toastmasters, like I did. Get better presenting yourself and your stories. And boy, to my own words, I'm keeping this brief, but I'm going to allow a couple minutes for questions. Yes?
Dominic, I wasn't being funny or short when I talked about your credentials. You're mentioning Toastmasters. You're a wonderful speaker. Is that where this all came from?
Thank you. I'd like to believe I was a good speaker before I joined Toastmasters. I was good, but I had a lot of ums and you knows and junk food for my vocabulary that was in there. Toastmasters helped me eliminate all of that. It's very rare you'll hear me say anymore. It has really helped me get better, smoother. I believe Toastmasters turns good presenters into great presenters and turns crummy presenters into good presenters who can then become great. Sometimes when you really stink at something, it's your opportunity to excel in it. I read somewhere once, see, I'm going to tell the story quickly, about an Olympic swimmer who almost drowned when she was a baby. And so she forced herself out of her comfort zone and learned to swim, and then became an Olympian. You can take your greatest fear and turn it into one of your strongest assets. I think Moses was a stutterer, and he ended up standing there with the 10 Commandments, supposedly. So, you know, there you go. Talk about comfort zone. Yes, you had a question. Somebody raised their hand.
Oh, I was just going to ask you what chapter of Toastmasters you're in.
Oh, there are tons. There are 8 or 9 Toastmasters groups. Oh, yeah. Oh, the question was, which chapter of Toastmasters do I belong to? I go to the Thursday morning, 7:30 a.m. at the Portola Community Center on Shadow Mountain and Portola. But there's one that meets at the Desert Sun on Tuesday nights. There's one that meets, are you in that? Wonderful! Oh, you and Sharon Kenty both. Great. There's one that meets on Thursday mornings at 6 a.m. at Sloan's in Indio if you want breakfast and you get up at 4 in the morning. That's a good one for you. There's one that meets at noon on Thursdays at the Water District in Palm Springs on Hoadley. Palm Desert, I'm sorry. So you've got, see there's my, see I got one. All right, one. There are so many, and if you go to Toastmasters.org, you can put in your zip code. It'll show you all the different clubs and times that meet. You can go a couple of times just to get the feel of it. I go regularly. I've been going for 4 years now, and I'm a past area governor, and I recently, a year and a half ago, got my Distinguished Toastmasters, which is like a PhD in public speaking.
Awesome.
Thank you. You have a question?
Just another testimonial. Jim also is a DTM from the local chapter at the Desert Sun.
Oh, you're in the Desert Sun group.
Yeah.
Great.
Was.
Okay, but you can tell if people wanted to go to that group, you could explain, a little more what it was. So Jim, you'll be my Tuesday night club promoter as well as. Okay, excellent. The DTM is not such an easy thing to get. You have to do 40 speeches. You have to be an area governor for a year and then go through a bunch of other presentations to get there. But it was totally worth it because now I've got street cred in Toastmasters. Any other questions? Or if you're not sure about anything I mentioned, how to do this, who here thinks they can go forth and tell a story and be interesting and not boring? Everybody, almost everybody. Awesome. That's wonderful. Congratulations. I hope you succeed and engage people. Remember, your only goal is to give them a business card and get them to agree to meet you for coffee at Starbucks some other time. I'll bet you everyone in this room is convinced that if you could sit down with somebody for 10 or 15 minutes, you can convince them that you're the realtor or the affiliate that they need to be with. If they just got to know you a little. If they just got to know how much you actually cared. Because I believe each and every one of you care tremendously.
Thank you so much. Let's give her another